In June 2026, the United States marked its 250th anniversary. It was a period defined by two simultaneous legacy events that took completely different paths. On the National Mall, President Trump launched the Freedom 250 Great American State Fair, a heavily funded federal project meant to be the national centerpiece. That same week, on June 19th, the Obama Presidential Center officially opened its doors in Chicago's Jackson Park. Both projects were backed by significant funding and institutional support, yet during the same 7-day window, they experienced completely opposite operational outcomes. Examining these twin events highlights the practical differences between a top-down federal rollout and a project built on a decade of community-integrated planning. This graphic sets up our first evaluation metric: logistics and planning. The Obama Center took 10 years to develop. That timeline included years of navigating federal reviews, environmental concerns, and lawsuits over the use of local parkland. Working through those initial hurdles resulted in a 19-acre campus designed with climate-resilient landscaping. When the opening weekend arrived, the site managed heavy crowds without structural or safety issues. Freedom 250 took a different route. The administration marginalized the bipartisan America 250 Commission to fast-track a project straight onto the National Mall. Without extensive infrastructure testing, the fair struggled under summer conditions. On June 25th, heat-related issues triggered generator blackouts, halting the Ferris wheel and leaving food vendors without power. Days later, severe thunderstorms forced a sudden evacuation. As crowds left, they were met by digital billboards that went viral for a glaring typo, instructing people to check Freedom 250 on social media. Bypassing community-level stress testing and climate planning creates a project that is vulnerable to the first sign of environmental pressure. This brings us to round 2, talent acquisition and optics. From the start, the Obama Foundation used a messaging strategy aimed at broad civic appeal rather than a specific partisan identity. That approach helped secure a multi-genre A-list lineup for the opening, featuring performers like Stevie Wonder. The event also drew former presidents from across the political aisle, including George W. Bush, validating its goal of a unified civic opening. The Freedom 250 Fair used a messaging strategy centered on the current administration. It featured hyper-partisan programming like Maha Mondays and a proposed 250-foot triumphal arch for the president. This resulted in a series of public boycotts. Multiple headliners pulled out, claiming they were misled about the nature of the event, and 10 U.S. states refused to send delegations. On the National Mall, the effect was visible. Pavilions sat unmanned, and the administration had to find last-minute replacement talent to fill the gaps in the schedule. Focusing an event's brand on a single partisan identity alienates a significant portion of the public, narrowing the potential audience before the event begins. Our final evaluation metric is financial integrity and public trust. The Obama Center followed foundation guidelines that included specific hiring targets, ensuring that half of the project's construction hours went to Chicago residents. This planning contributed to a projected $3.1 billion local economic boost, supported by ticket sales that remained strong enough to book the museum solid through the autumn. In contrast, the Freedom 250 project moved federal funding through a shell entity under the National Park Foundation, a setup that faced less public oversight than the official commission. This structure led to a House investigation into allegations of no-bid contracts for political allies and the potential misuse of public funds for partisan activity. For visitors, this financial approach trickled down to high costs for basic necessities. During a summer heat wave, attendees were charged $5 for water and $9 for lemonade. When public funds are shielded from oversight, the resulting lack of accountability can erode a project's operational quality and the public's trust. To map the true return on investment, we compare their strategies on this quadrant chart. Prioritizing partisan control and rapid rollout caused logistical failures and public criticism. However, community integration and bipartisan planning created a resilient site and broad public demand. The Freedom 250 model prioritized brand loyalty and speed, which on the ground meant generator blackouts, boycotts, and a fractured audience. The Obama Center model represents a more patient approach. It required managing years of upfront friction to ensure an operationally sound and culturally accepted legacy. Effective legacy building isn't about the speed of the rollout. It depends on a foundation of structural resilience, bipartisan cooperation, and transparent public trust.